let's move on to Jay-Z and Diddy. Now, we knew that Diddy was facing all sorts of criminal charges and tons of civil suits. And my God, like, I can't even keep track of the number of things that have been alleged against Sean Combs or P. Diddy. But here he is in this picture with Jay-Z, who is also known as Beyonce's husband. And now Jay-Z's been dragged into one civil suit by one of the Diddy accusers. And this now 30-something-year-old woman, I think she's 37 now, who claims that she was 13 years old at the time this happened to her, has filed a lawsuit through this lawyer who's suing P. Diddy in many cases. Like, this guy's going to build a summer home based on what he hopes to recover in his lawsuits.
Or three summer homes.
3. So he says that he's got this woman who, when she was 13 years old, she went to the VMA Awards in New York City, like by herself, looking to get in and meet celebrities. Not surprisingly, she says she couldn't get in. She says she decided to chat up the limo drivers waiting for the celebs outside, and that one of them said to her something to the effect of, "You look like Diddy's type." And that then she was brought back to Diddy's house after the VMA Awards at Rock Center in Manhattan in the year 2000. And that there she was raped. She was given something that made her feel drugged, a drink. And she was raped not only by Diddy, but also by Jay-Z. And that when Diddy then tried to come for her again that evening, she grabbed her clothes and ran out. And that her father picked her up at a gas station nearby the home. The father, and I presume she, lived 5 hours away in Rochester, New York. Now, unfortunately for this woman and her lawyer, this guy Busby, some inconsistencies have surfaced in the account. Most notably, the father comes out and says, "That never happened. I never went and picked her up at any post-Diddy party. I think I'd remember that. I live 5 hours away." And that would seem to be a near insurmountable problem for Mr. Busby in this lawsuit, Mark, but you tell me.
Well, when you say inconsistencies, that's about as charitable as you can get. And by the way, I'm going to ask Alex Spiro next time he calls him a Busby, the 1-800 lawyer. I call him the 1-800 Diddy lawyer. I mean, he's out there with the billboards. He's filing things anonymously. And then it turns out when Alex was doing his press conference yesterday, that not only was the description of the house impossible, 20 minutes outside of Manhattan, but virtually everything else about this story was impossible, not to mention, as you said, the father. But this is not the first time that one of these things as to Diddy has fallen apart. I mean, Gloria Allred brought a case that ended up falling apart. The lawyer, I actually followed on one of the TV shows, a lawyer who brought 3 cases against Diddy, and he said that 60 people had come to his office talking about Diddy, but the 57 of them were so ridiculous that he didn't take them. Well, that tells you 95% of the people making the claims don't even pass the smell test for a lawyer, yet he's going to take 3 or vice versa. I mean, this is really, at the end of the day, if you look at the Diddy case, and you know, there's almost a service that has been done by them expanding it to Jay-Z. Everybody says there's all these celebrities involved. Well, so far, everybody says any minute the tape's going to drop, the tapes are being shopped, blah, blah, blah. The problem is that was in September. And now we're in December. Not one tape has been released that I have seen. No, not one other person who is an alleged victim has been identified. It's still a one accuser case that's being brought criminally. I think that a lot of this is totally overblown, and there isn't any indication. Everybody keeps talking about the Diddy parties. Where are the tapes of the Diddy parties where this is supposedly going on? Nobody's ever seen it. It's become like the Loch Ness Monster.
And
Well,
also, but Meg, let's talk about something historical that took place this week. And it's this case that you and I don't know how many stories we did on the original Kendall's court / Kelly's court. The young woman who, she was young then, accused the Duke lacrosse players of raping
Crystal
her,
Mangum.
has now come out and said, yeah, I made the whole thing up, which is horrible as what she did was horrible. She's actually just committed like a little bit of a public service to show like people do make these things up. Everyone's like, oh, make this up out of whole cloth. Oh, it just creates such a story. It never happens. Yeah, it actually does happen. Did happen. Those 4 kids' lives were ruined. Their families ruined, financially wiped out. A DA was brought to his knees out there. It was just, a despicable situation that happened. And now, I don't even know, almost 20 years later, she admits, yeah, I made the whole thing up. And this girl with the Jay-Z thing, I mean, her own father, he goes, yeah, I think I would remember if I drove 5 hours to pick up my daughter from a nightclub. Good for Jay-Z. I agree with Mark that he did perform somewhat of a public service when his name came out, and he fought. He said, look, I feel bad for my kids. I feel bad they're going to have to hear about this, but I am not going to be extorted. I'm not giving a penny. I know I didn't do that. And I'll tell you, Mark and I have represented these kinds of people. It is often a lot easier for them to fill out a 3-page document, a non-disclosure agreement, write out a check for an amount of money that's not going to change their quality of life, just make it go away. He probably could have done that here, but he didn't, and good for him.
Yeah, no, Jay-Z is denying it in the strongest terms, and he's responding to this. I'll get to her other inconsistencies in a second, but he's responding to the fact that she's been caught with some, apparent whoppers by saying today's investigative report proves that this, quote, attorney Busby filed a false complaint against me in pursuit of money and fame. The incident did not happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon. And here are some of the other problems with her story as she told it through this lawyer. Okay, she claimed that she talked to specific celebrities at the Diddy after party. She said, for example, she spoke to musicians Fred Durst and Benji Madden, recalling a conversation, quoting her from a Washington Post report, about the Good Charlotte member's Last Supper tattoo. I have a religious background, she said, so it was something to talk about. Okay, but NBC News said a representative for Benji Madden confirmed that Benji, as well as his twin brother Joel, were touring in the Midwest at the time of the 2000 VMAs and did not attend the event. So there's that. There's the father, and then there is this. Okay. She claimed that she went back to the after party at Diddy's house to a large white residence with a giant U-shaped driveway. And NBC News is reporting that I guess there was a party, but it was at Lotus. Is that what it is? But they said that the building's now closed and it does not match the description of the place she claims she was taken at all. So there's a few things here that don't match up. And she is saying, I have made some mistakes, but she stands by her story saying, I may have gotten some of the details wrong, but I stand by it. But here's the capper. All right, this is the last piece of info for you guys. This is devastating. This is the worst part to me. Busby puts out a statement in the wake of this, right? This is terrible, Arthur. And he says, Jane Doe's case was referred to our firm by another law firm. So already it's bad. Like, we don't know Jane Doe, right? Somebody else did the legwork on this, who vetted it prior to sending it to us. I'm innocent. Don't hold it against me, Busby. Our client remains fiercely adamant that what she has stated is true to the best of her memory. I mean, how many qualifiers can you get in there? She is adamant that what she has stated is true to the best of her memory. And then says, we will continue to vet her claims. Hello? That should have been done before you file a lawsuit against Jay-Z and Diddy and collect corroborating data to the extent it exists. Okay, well, we will look forward to that, Mr. Busby. Then he claims she agreed to submit to a polygraph, though he doesn't claim she's actually sat for one yet. And then he says, we'll do our best to vet every claim made in all of our cases, just as we will in this case. This has been extremely distressing for her. Here we go. Ready? To the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress. I don't believe one word of that. She did not get seizures from the stress of this. Did she get seizures, Arthur Aidala?
I doubt she's gotten seizures. And, you know, as lawyers, we raise our hand the day you're sworn in and you take an oath. And some people take that oath more seriously than others. So I had a woman come in here, a woman, not a young woman, a woman, she's 38 years old in the end of August. And she made these types of claims. And I have had 3 retired judges in my law firm and 3 other lawyers. And I believe her. I believe what she's saying, but I am fallible. I make mistakes. We've all now interviewed her over the course now of 4 months. And now finally, I think in January, we will file a suit along these lines. But it's not until 6 human beings with different life experiences, different ages, have evaluated this individual before you make such a serious claim. And it's not a case that's going to make the news, but it's going to affect somebody else's life. And when I took that oath in 1992, that's still in the front of my mind in 2024, that I'm always going to try to do the right thing and make sure I'm very, very careful and not throw people's names and reputations under the bus. You know, when they just named Beyonce the pop singer of the first quarter century, they didn't include her last name, Carter, in her remarks or whatever it was. And that's, in my opinion, a direct ramification of this new lawsuit. And, you know, you can't just be so careless, even if you are going to get 3 summer homes or 6 summer homes or a yacht out of it. To my own self be true. And I think Mr.
Arthur,
Busby is struggling
would you
with
have
that.
done things like calling, you know, the guys in this band, like their reps, to say, I'm investigating this case. Can you confirm whether your clients were in New York at the VMAs in 2000? Like, would you have done that kind of work before submitting a complaint?
I mean, but before you look, I'm not going to BS you and say, yeah, I would do that in any case. Before I was going to go after someone the likes of Jay-Z, who, look, the guy started off life as a crack dealer. So, you know, he wasn't exactly in the seminary before he became a billionaire.
Right.
But he's led a pretty clean life the last 3 decades or so, if not 4 decades. Well, I would say 3 decades. Well, okay. But as far as we know, look, he's in the public eye. He's under public scrutiny on a regular basis. You have to do some minimal fact checking, like, does the location exist where this person is saying it took place? I would definitely pick up the phone and be like, Jay, let's talk to your dad. I mean, that's a simple one. My dad picked me up. Okay, good. Let's just chat with your dad. I mean, that is not hard.
For those of us holding our breath for the past several months as we came up to this election, we can finally exhale. Work can at last be done on the major issues this country's facing, one of the most significant being our national debt. The fact is, we're broke, and that debt is a house of cards for our nation that cannot be quickly dismantled. So the strategy remains the same. You might want to diversify your savings. This is why I want to tell you about Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control, out of our president's control. So it can be important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group can help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. And the best news is it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. Text MK to 989898 to get your free info kit. Plus, right now, you will receive a free 1-ounce silver eagle coin for every $5,000 purchased. Protect your savings with Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and claim your eligibility for free silver today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.